What's going on, family? I'm Scrapbook Boxing, and this is the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to continue to examine 100 years of World Championship fights. November 11th, 1939. June 5th, 1940. 22-year-old 6'1.5" world light heavyweight champion, Pittsburgh kid Billy Conn, defeats and defends his crown twice over 25-year-old Gus Lesnievich, who was 5'9". It was for the NBA, a New York SAC, World Light Heavyweight Championship belt. Now they fought twice, once at the Olympic Stadium and once in New York's Madison Square Garden. Now Billy Conn would have a record of 51 wins, 9 losses, 1 draw, and 8 knockouts. And he would be in the ring with Milo Bettina twice. Would also fight Charlie Krieger, fought him twice. Got beat up pretty good in the first fight, but he would redeem himself in the second fight with Charlie Krieger. This was at middleweight. Gus Lesnievich, who would eventually become the light heavyweight champion of the world, walked into the ring with a fighting career record of 46 wins, 5 losses, 5 draws, and 14 knockouts. Now he would face Billy Conn. He'd also be in the ring with Bob Olin, an Alabama kid. Now Bob Olin would lose his crown to John Henry Lewis, 1935. But he would defeat a very good fighter by the name of Maxie Rosenblum. So Billy Conn and Gus Lesnievich would get it on November 11th, 1939 and June 5th, 1940 for the World Light Heavyweight Championship belt. Now I want to introduce Lloyd Marshall, member of the Black Murderers Row. He's to your right. February 22nd, 1939 and March 17th, 1939. He will lose to Cerfernio Garcia. The second fighter will lose on cuts. Lloyd Marshall would defeat fighters such as Eddie Charles, Charlie Burley, and many others. But who is Lloyd Marshall? Because he's going to be mentioned many times in this series. He was born June 4th, 1914, Madison County, Georgia. Died August 4th, 1997, 83 years of age at the time of his death, and he would reside Cleveland, Ohio. He would have many sparring matches, almost a regular, with the great Eddie Charles, who he would defeat as a professional. And I met Lloyd Marshall several times, and he was something else. Great person he was. Stood 5'10". He was a middleweight. Light heavyweight with 74-inch reach. Fought from 1936 to 1951. Had 100 total bouts. 70 wins, 25 losses. 5 draws, and 36 knockouts. Now he'd be in the ring with Tommy Farr. He would defeat Tommy Farr. Charlie Burley, he would defeat. Eddie Charles, he would defeat. Shorty Hughes, he would win 1 and lose 1. And you'll hear a little bit more about Shorty Hughes when I talk about Archie Moore. Shorty Hughes had a brother by the name of Big Boy Hughes. And I did a piece on those two brothers from Sacramento, California. Lloyd Marshall, one of the greatest light heavyweights boxing history. He had a style about him. Phenomenal. Let's take a look at a fight with Lloyd Marshall and Freddie Mills. Now you're looking at Lloyd Marshall and Dietrich hooks. Marshall throws a killer body punch, and Hooks goes down. You're going to see something really funny here. Should have been a knockdown against Lloyd Marshall. But he redeems himself, and he gets his man out of there. As you can see, Lloyd Marshall going to the ropes in a minute here. Oh, beautiful uppercut. Lloyd Marshall had technical skills. And like I said, he sparred many rounds with Ezzard Charles. Was a class act, was Lloyd Marshall. Brought his man to his corner. Very proud of himself, as he should be. Waves to the crowd.
And so into round 3, which turned out to be a disastrous one for Mills, with Marshall going right to work.
Now, this is the clearest film that I can find with Lloyd Marshall and Freddie Mills. I just wanted you to get an idea of the skill set that Lloyd Marshall would have. He would drop a light heavyweight champion in Freddie Mills.
But he's obviously still groggy from that first round punch, and Marshall gives him no chance to recover.
Lloyd Marshall has his back to you right now. Oh, beautiful combinations by Lloyd Marshall. This film is all over the place, so I'm trying to pay close attention to this. Oh, beautiful right hand by Lloyd Marshall. Freddie Mills was a very good fighter. He would defeat Gus Lesnovich. Oh, beautiful uppercut by Lloyd Marshall. Oh, what a combination.
Freddie goes down for a count of 2. Up on both feet again, though. Where that man gets his stamina from, I'll never know. And then shortly before the end of the round, Marshall shifts his attack to Freddie's body. Just watch those savage body blows of Marshall.
See, Lloyd Marshall was a vicious body puncher.
Round 4, for one round of the whole bout in which Mills shows any of his old form or manages to hold his own. He goes right at the attack, though this obviously isn't the same Mills who came within an inch of beating Lesnovich. Once more, Mills stuns the colored boy with a left hook.
Oh, good punch by Freddie Mills.
Continuing to take their toll and slow Freddie down badly. Mills is warned yet again by referee Waltham for holding, and before the round continues, the two boys stop and shake hands. Then they go in and dance round for a few moments, each one looking for an opening.
Now, Mills would eventually get knocked out by Lloyd Marshall. As you can see coming up here. Beautiful hook that was thrown by Lloyd Marshall. And Freddie Mills is out. It's a shame that Lloyd Marshall never got a title shot. October 2nd, 1939. Filipino middleweight. World champion Cerfernio Garcia knocks out Fred Apostoli, 7 rounds in New York's Madison Square Garden. 160 pounds was Fred Apostoli. He was stopped 2 minutes and 7 seconds in the 7th round. The referee was Billy Cavanagh. He stopped the bout after the 3rd knockdown. Cerfernio Garcia was 33 years old. He was 5'6", and he had 7-inch reach for middleweight. Fighting record of 112 wins, 25 losses, 12 draws, and 69 knockouts. Fred Apostoli, 26 years old, stood 5'9.5" Had a 70-inch reach. He was a middleweight. Had a record of 38 wins, 5 losses, and 20 knockouts. Now, Cerfernio Garcia is to your left. And they called him Pedro. That was a nickname they gave him. He was born August 26, 1906. The Naval and Philippines. Died January 1st, 1981. San Diego, California. He was 74 years of age at the time of his death. He stood 5'7". He weighed 143 to 157 pounds. And he fought from 1923 to 1945. Had a total bout career of 162 fights, 121 wins, 74 knockouts. He was something else. He had 15 draws and he was only stopped 6 times. And he would defeat Lloyd Marshall twice, as we saw. Barney Ross, Al Ramiro, Billy Seuss, Kid Azteca, dynamite Mexican fighter he was. Steve Balois and Ken Oberlin, who would take the title away from Cerfernio Garcia. November 25th, 1930, fought world champion Henry Armstrong for the welterweight championship belt, New York's Madison Square Garden. The referee was Arthur Donovan. He raises the hand of Henry Armstrong. Garcia would also find himself in the ring with fighters such as Baby Joe Gans, Paulie Walker, California Jackie Wilson, Phil Furr, Izzy Genazzo, Young Peter Jackson, Leon Zarita. I want to show you an opponent or two of Cerfernio Garcia. Take a look at Paulie Walker out of New Jersey. Now I'm going to show you 2 opponents of Cerfernio Garcia. Al Ramiro, he's out of Mexico City. As you can see, he's a welterweight. I just wanted to show you Al Ramiro. We're also going to look at Paulie Walker out of New Jersey. Now, this book here has some great fighters in it, but I just want to show you Paulie Walker. He's out of Trenton, New Jersey. Sparred many rounds with Ike Williams. Paulie Walker, very good fighter he was. He was an opponent of Cerfernio Garcia. I'll show you one more opponent of Cerfernio Garcia. Now, this man was the colored welterweight champion, and he would lose his crown to Coco Kid. His name is Young Peter Jackson. Very good fighter he was. Now, Monday, December 11th, 1939, Al Hastad knocks out Eric Sealing, 1 round for the NBA middleweight championship belt. Fight took place in Cleveland Arena. Al Hastad was 23 years old. He stood 5'9.5" He was a middleweight with a 73-inch reach. Walked into the ring with a record of 50 wins, 2 losses, 8 draws, and 29 knockouts. As for Eric Sealing, he was 5'8" middleweight. Had a record of 41 wins, 12 draws, 6 draws. 41 wins, 12 draws, and 8 knockouts. Now, who was Eric Sealing? Born July 15th, 1910 in Poland. Died January 19th, 1984 in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Fought from 1931 to 1940. Had a total bout career of 63 fights, 41 wins, 14 losses, 7 draws, and 8 knockouts. And he was stopped 3 times himself. Al Hastad fought on the night of Monday, December 11th, 1939. The NBA middleweight championship belt. January 24th, 1940. New era. £140, 30-year-old Henry Armstrong knocks out Pedro Martanez. He was 24 years old. He weighed 144 pounds. Got rid of him in 47 seconds in the ninth round. New York's Madison Square Garden. The referee was Billy Kavanaugh. Stopped the contest in front of 19,157 spectators. Now, collectively, they would put together $59,595. Now, Armstrong had a record of 105 wins, 13 losses, 7 draws, and 70 knockouts. Martinez had 91 wins, 6 losses, 4 draws, and 51 knockouts. I'm trying to contain all this information in my head as I'm speaking to you. Now, Pedro Martinez, his name was Toro de Carpier. He was born April 24th, 1919. Puerto Rico. He died June 26, 1996 in Puerto Rico. Now, he stood 5'5" inches. He was a lightweight with a 68-inch reach. Fought from 1931 to 1940. Had a total bout career of 103 fights. 91 wins, 8 losses, 51 knockouts, and he was stopped twice in his career. Being in the ring with Lou Ambers and Henry Armstrong, he would lose to both of them. Pedro Martinez was really strong on the inside. He was a very good fighter. He would mix it up with Henry Armstrong. January 24th, 1940. Now, I want to make a correction on the Henry Armstrong and Pedro Martinez fight. The fight took place January 24th, 1940. I want to be clear on that. And Pedro Martinez was born April 24th, 1914. I believe I said 1919. He was born 1914. So I just wanted to make that correction. January 29th, 1940, Tony Zale defeats Al Hastad. The NBA, New York SAC Middleweight Championship. But it was a non-title bout. And these two men would mix it up again. And eventually Tony Zale would defeat Al Hastad. But who was Tony Zale? His name was Anthony Florian Zalowski. Born May 29th, 1913 in Gary, Indiana. He died March 20th, 1997, Chicago, Illinois. I met Tony Zale. He stood 5'7.5" inches. He was a middleweight with a 69-inch reach. Fought from 1934 to 1948. Had a total bout career of 87 fights, 67 wins, 18 losses, 45 knockouts, and he was stopped 5 times himself. Tony Zale was a very, very good fighter, good puncher. And his career kind of delayed because of the war, as many fighters did, 42 to 45. The issue I have with Tony Zale, and we're going to get to the fight with him and Graziano and Marcel Sedan, but he trumped out a lot of black fighters. And that hurts legacy, that hurts opportunity, that hurts fights that could have been. Has nothing to do with color in this conversation I'm having with you. But it is about color. There was a race time during those years where fighters such as Gus Lesnovich and Tony Zale, they did not fight black fighters and they avoided them. And that's what happened with Charlie Burley and Izzy Charles, many others. Jimmy Bivens, for that matter. Tony Zale, Gus Lesnovich, Mickey Walker. They avoided a lot of black fighters. So we're going to be talking about history of championship divisions. We have to come out and we have to just clean the slate and tell the exact truth of what's going on in boxing history. And Tony Zale was one of the biggest duckers in the black Murray's He didn't fight any of those fighters. So I just want to be clear on that. But outside of that, he was a very good fighter. And we will be discussing Tony Zale and Rocky Graziano, 46, 47, and 48. Let's take a quick look at Pedro Martinez. Really strong fighter he was. Very strong. So just wanted to show you Pedro Martinez before we move on to the next fight. Joe Louis and Arturo Godoy.